Welcome to Tactical Reviews, and this video is for us to have a look at the Spyderco Zoomer, a really interesting and special outdoor knife. You'll see as we take a look round this that it's a little bit different to your average outdoor knife. A lot of thought and care has gone into this. So it comes in a large zip-up knife case. What I'm going to do is take all of these parts out and move the case away. So we have the typical information leaflet. We have quietly hidden at this point the knife itself, and a sheath which is quite different to the typical knife sheath that you will see mostly these days. This again, I mean, a sheath, how you carry the knife, is almost as important as the knife itself, and the designer of the knife has specified quite a distinctive sheath to carry their knife. So as you can see, it's quite a long sheath, and at the top we just have a belt loop hanger down to a very solidly constructed sheath which has no retention strap. So this is a friction fit hanger, and because it hangs down from the belt, it should always be vertical through gravity. There's also a reasonably large pouch on the front which comes with nothing in it, because the idea is that you can decide yourself if you want to put a sharpening stone, a fire lighting kit and tinder, anything that you would like to carry with this knife, but it's not forced upon you, so you have the choice of what you're going to fill that with. And in the detailed photos you'll see the construction of a number of layers. So it's actually 6 layers of leather. So that's the sheath, and take the very first look at the knife and then come in closer. And here we have the Zoomer outdoor knife. So let's come in closer. And we've now come in closer to go round the first look at the Zoomer. I will zoom in a little closer still to show some of the really fine details of this knife. One immediate aspect that you may notice, and I have to say makes photographing this blade extremely difficult, is the fact that, as specified by the designer, this is a full convex. So the entire surface of the blade here is curved from the spine down to the edge. And what that means is wherever you put it, it's catching light. It's quite difficult to set up. It's either very dark or very light. So that also introduces some questions about maintenance, sharpening, and how you might choose to maintain the edge on this knife. That's not something I'm getting into right now, but whether or not you decide to maintain a full convex, or if you just go with a sort of standard edge bevel at the base of that convex edge, that will be something for you to decide. So in overall terms, the design intent is for a comfortable, usable and efficient cutting tool. And as part of that, we have quite a unique handle. So this has been made, I believe, in 2 halves, but fitted to the knife without any joins, bolts or any other form of fixings visible. Also, the handle extends in a slightly unusual way to give the thumb support. So in terms of comfort, you're not putting your thumb onto any of the spine, but you have a wide rounded part to apply lots of pressure. You'll also see that because of the angle of the plunge line, your thumb is able to come forward of the end of the cutting edge, and that means that as you're applying force, your thumb is actually applying the force directly over the cutting edge, giving you maximum cutting efficiency. So that's a really important part of the design. Something that I can't quite convey, it'll be shown in the technical measurements part of the video, is because of this solid smoothed handle, the weight is very much in your hand. The balance point, which we'll show precisely later, is a reasonable way back, and the overall feeling of the knife is very solid and comfortable. Okay, so what we're going to do is just zoom in now for some even finer details. And here we are now, very close up, and I think the first thing we can see is the Spyderco and CPM 20 CV as the steel, so a very high performance steel. Should be extremely good for edge retention, but also not too difficult to sharpen and touch up. And so we're looking over the handle now, so the interesting sweeping forward thumb support that's part of this handle, that's sort of a one-piece design, very smooth and rounded to try and remove all hot spots when you're working with it for long periods. A little bit of the full tang sticking out. If we just lift that up, and there you can see the lanyard hole, which is slightly recessed. So not really, I mean, you could use it as a striking surface, but it's not really designed for that. It's just, it is a full tang, and we still have the ability to fit a lanyard. So of course the Spyderco hole. And now as we move along that full convex blade, and you can see the grind lines in this direction. And onto the other side. So you see the name of the knife comes from the surname of the designer. Just a quick look along the spine. And we can see basically full thickness till the final gentle convex taper to the tip. So that's our first close-up look at the Zoomer, and the next section of the video is going to have the detailed technical measurements. In fact, just before going on to the detailed technical measurements, I haven't shown how the knife fits into the sheath. So what we're going to do is just show how we have the end of the handle going into the sheath there. So the friction fit is not on the blade, but it's actually on the first part of the handle. So if I just take where that's inserted into, so you can see the knife fits like so into the sheath, and we have a reasonably good friction fit from the mouth of the sheath holding onto the handle. So it's not easily shaken out. Plus this is going to be hanging nicely on from your belt. And of course it's ambidextrous, so whoever gets this can just pop the knife in whichever way round they want to carry. There we are, sheathed, and on to the detailed technical measurements. So now we're going to take a look at the detailed technical measurements for the Spyderco Zoomer, and in this case one of the measurements I need to take is the knife in sheath. It's quite a long knife and the leather flops over, so having to do a little bit of a different thing where I'm balancing it on a block, so I'll just make sure that it stays 0 and there's nothing interfering. Everything is clear, and that is 474.9 grams for the knife and sheath. So overall length in the sheath is 365 millimeters. Width of the sheath is 75 millimeters, and thickness where the knife is in the sheath and we have the pouch at the front, and that gives us 52.7 millimeters. So weighing the knife on its own, that's 264.5 grams. Overall length, (252 millimeters). blade length with the curving part of the handle for the thumb rest, that complicates matters, but what I'm going to do is take a point as if it didn't have that extended piece, especially because the cutting edge goes further toward the handle than that. So if we say blade length of 132 millimeters, widest part of the handle is the palm swell, 26.2 millimeters, and again I think at the palm swell, and we have 34.3 millimeters. Now we'll have a look at the balance point. With the extremely smooth handle, getting this balanced is going to be quite tricky. And that is 162 millimeters from the tip. Blade thickness 3.9 millimeters. Now we've looked at this, the grind earlier in the video, and as the light plays across it, you see the entire surface is curved, so it's a full convex. Just see if I can catch the don't think the video is going to show that very well, but as I lay the ruler, the flat edge on it, that's sitting with the spine, and then that's sitting to the cutting edge, and it just rolls between the two. So that's full convex. Grind length 28 millimeters, and equivalently that's the same as the blade depth. Measuring with a convex, measuring the primary bevel angle is really not possible. What I tend to do is go for a contact point about centre of the blade to get a rough idea of the type of angle of the primary bevel, but this is not accurate and not correct because it's a curved bevel all the way through. So approximation. Okay, so rough measurement is 9 degrees. I'm not going to bother with the minutes part. Let's say 9 degrees approximately. So now the laser edge bevel protractor. Which is showing me, I can't show it in the video, but it's showing me the convexing of the edge. And we have a very fine angle. It is approximately 10 degrees per side. So that is a very fine edge, perhaps a bit too fine in case of damage. Point angle. Which is 54 degrees. With this being a full convex, and in effect it's got a micro bevel for the cutting edge, measuring the thickness behind the edge is going to be a bit more challenging than normal. And it is very fine, 0.26 millimeters thickness behind the edge. This should be an incredibly eager cutting edge. The knife is straight, so we say the rake is 0. I'm now very curious to see the sharpness measurements. Center sharpness. Oh, massively surprising, 564. Was not expecting that. Heel sharpness. $277 grams. And the point sharpness. 337 grams. So that is a run through of the detailed technical specifications of the Spyderco Zoomer. Thank you for joining me, and remember, get informed, be prepared, stay sharp.